What's going on? This is your host, Lex Black. This is episode 2 of Midnight Music on my channel, Midnight Arcade. Man. Before I do anything else, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell icon to be notified for whenever I drop the new heat. As always, I'm disappointed, but I'm not surprised. I am disappointed, but I'm not surprised. What the hell are you talking about, Lex? Well, I'm gonna tell you. We're gonna talk about one Curtis 50 Cent Jackson. And I'm disappointed, but I'm not surprised for a number of reasons. In light of the Kendrick Drake beef, we've seen a number of strange twists and turns. And one of those strange twists and turns of events was the weird deference by the likes of people like The Game, Maul, 50, to a lesser degree, Snoop, and others, even though to a lesser degree, Snoop, that's why I said to a lesser degree, Snoop apologized to Dot. But these guys are like deferring to Drake. And it's so confusing. It's like borderline groupie behavior. I mean, look at how Maul crashed out during the battle. That's not normal. And then we see someone who is as reputable, someone who is as respected, someone who is as storied and has as storied a career as he has in 50 Cent. And the way how he's acting, and the same with Game, and the way how he's acting too, it just brings to mind some very, very weird observations that I've been noticing throughout the course of this entire beef between Drake and Kendrick. And these are guys that I would think that would not act this way, but they are. And it's bizarre. It's really, really bizarre. So it makes me wonder if there's something more nefarious at play. Why go so far? What's in it for you? You know? And that's the thing. There's this intersectionality between, you know, ours and Kendrick's, the culture side of things, and 50 and Drake's side of things. But there's like a strange parallel that I don't really want to get into. But if you know, you understand what I'm alluding to. There is a very prevalent pipeline parallel incel type thing. I'm not going to go all the way into it, okay? Like Drake pill rap. Shout out to Rap Latte and those guys, man. They coined the term Drake pilled. Anyway, so let's really focus in on 50. So Shoals did what he did, said what he said about Dot, even though Dot wasn't necessarily talking directly about him. He was talking about the two brothers that was sitting with Shoals when Shoals said what he said about black women. Okay, Shoals went and crashed out. And then he went and said some egregious shit that I'm not going to repeat here, right? Controversy ignites. And then, of course, he goes and gets his black friend and Charlemagne the God, the man with no stance in every stance. And then 50 comes through. And I didn't watch the whole thing, but there were some things that stood out. And I'm not going to include it in my commentary. I can include the links below for you guys to check out for yourself. But one of the things that 50 was saying was, and I'm sure there's a bunch of other things that I missed, but one of the things that he was saying was like, Drake should take a break from making music so that the pressure is on Kendrick to carry the culture on his shoulders. And in my head, I'm like, yeah, well, what do you think Kendrick has been doing his entire career? Do you think that he is, where have you been? You think he's incapable of carrying, let me put it to you like this. Kendrick is the type of artist that does not have to carry the culture on his shoulders, okay? He can dictate where the culture goes, evidenced by the work that he put out throughout the dissing between him and Drake, GNX. Anytime this man drops, the world stops. Especially in the music world, the hip hop world, it stops. And anybody who says otherwise is bullshitting. Okay, we know the real. We know the real. Anytime Kendrick does something, he stops. There's a reason for that, because he's so reclusive. You don't see him on social media, rightfully so. I totally understand. You don't hear him popping out at this outlet or at this event doing all these crazy things and showing his ass and being all extra and being all loud and boisterous and all that foolishness. No, he makes his music, he makes his high quality art, he puts it out, he tours, he promotes it, and then he goes back and he raises his family. That's from the outside looking in, but that's what the sense that I'm gathering from him, right? So it's really interesting to me to hear some of these comments that 50 is saying about Kendrick should understand the pressure of carrying the culture. It just boggles my mind. Like, what are you talking about? Okay. And then the other thing that 50 was saying is, here's my thing about Fifth, yo. 50 is a legend. Get Rich or Die Trying will go down as one of the greatest albums ever made. And he captured an energy in a time frame that he came out that it will be hard to match. Okay? The mixtapes that he made leading up to that point, 50 Cent is the Future, the G-Unit mixtapes, classic stuff, man, classic material. His run was insane. All right, there's no denying that. So I don't want anybody to misconstrue my words or my critique of his actions. Okay? The man's music up until and after Get Rich or Die Trying, even the Massacre, chef's kiss. And I will always put respect on his name for the work that he put out and in the TV production and film and all that stuff, you know? But the problem with Fifth saying the things that he said is that it shows that Fifth cannot see beyond his own purview. Because he's also saying things like Dot represents, and I say Dot, I mean K-Dot, Kendrick is someone who represents like the removing or the easing off of like the street elements from hip hop or the aggressive elements. But you're saying this, 50, while defending a biracial Jewish kid from the upper class neighborhood of Forest Hill in the Toronto area in Canada, who did not have it, who did not grow up like you did. Okay? And this is why I'm confused, because you of all people, Fifth, should be able to relate to Kendrick more than anybody in this situation, because Kendrick came up a lot more similar to how you did than how Drake came up. As far as we know, according to all the evidence, according to the facts, Drake had it easy. He was arguing with his mom about a tuna fish sandwich, bruh. What are we talking about here? He had a whole basement to himself. I gotta study these things, so this is why I'm telling you what I'm telling you. He had a whole basement place to himself in his mom's spot. He was a fan of hip hop, but you can tell that he was not of the culture. Kendrick exposed that. I don't need to go into a whole dissertation about it. There's no need for me to do that. But it's perplexing to me that 50 is saying things like Kendrick is the kind of kid that is, his music represents the slow removal. I'm paraphrasing, but the slow removal of the street and aggressive elements of hip hop. Do you listen to his music? What, because he put a lot of like jazz infusion and interpolation into his record, into Pimple Butterfly, all of a sudden your viewpoint changed? But did you listen to the lyrics? Did you listen to the fact that he's talking about he can't bring his homies from his hood to the award show because they think about lining people up, trying to hit a lick at the award show? How is that not street? Talking about Sing About Me, I'm Dying of Thirst, getting revenge for his homie that was shot. How is that not street? Talking about all the things that he talked about on Damn. Talking about all the things that he talked about in all of his albums. Your problem is, like I said, you cannot see beyond your purview. And you think that the culture of hip hop revolves around aggression because that's what you came up in. The problem with that is that hip hop has always been diversified with conscious elements and street elements. Okay? And if the thing that really boggles my mind is 50 is not stupid. That's the thing. He's not stupid. He knows this stuff. At least I think he knows. So again, the problem is, and 50 saying the things that he's saying and the way how he's saying it, especially in the show's interview, leads me to believe that he's a little bit jealous of Kendrick, maybe, because Kendrick has the ability to take the street elements that he came up in, okay, because his family was affiliated. You see what neighborhood he comes from, in Compton, okay? He's heavily affiliated, all right? I don't know how much more street you can get. But Kendrick has the uncanny ability to take the craziness that he came up in, the street elements that he came up in, and use that perspective to create a more well-rounded and understandable perspective and convey that in his music. To the point where it's not, while it's jarring, at the same time that it's jarring, it's relatable to the Black American experience, to the African American experience, to the experience of Black people living in America. Okay? Period. He has a way of telling the story skillfully at that, very skillfully at that. All right? Interweaving narratives of his life experiences into these lyrics, and the style and the delivery and the diction and the way how he uses his words and the different voices and the different vocal trajectories, whatever have you, the way how he uses his talent overall gives us a well-rounded understanding of how he views the world. And it's a lot more holistic and wholesome and embodying and complete than, say, 50's narrow view of the world. Right? And because I feel like he just does, it shows in the music, bruh. It shows in the music. Because if he was creatively versatile enough, lyrically and musically, to be able to tell these stories in a similar way to Kendrick, in a more introspective way, talking about the street stuff that he went through. Oh my God. Musically, the sky would be the limit for him. But he didn't see it any other way outside of being aggressive. And that's okay. That's okay. That is fine. Because everybody's skill set isn't going to be the same. Let me tell you what I think is going on with Fifth, with that little bit of jealousy that's going on with him towards Kendrick. Because he also said something in an interview talking about Kendrick has this ability to make you think that he's not able to do these certain things because of maybe his demeanor. But then when he does them, it's like, wait. And I'm paraphrasing again. Y'all can look up the interview. I think he was sitting down with Big Boy or Power 106. I don't remember, bro. Y'all look it up, okay? But then, before I get to my next point, he was also talking about what the fuck is a Pulitzer Prize? 50, come on. Come on, Fifth. You are not stupid, okay? You're not stupid. You are a very intelligent brother. You are very intelligent. I know damn well that you know what a Pulitzer Prize is. And you're shocked that his album got awarded that. Again, this lends credence to my assumption here, and it's just an assumption, that maybe you didn't listen to Damn in the detail that you were supposed to, because the way how Kendrick wrote the record, you can listen to it forward and you can listen to it backward, track list wise. And there is a story being told there about wickedness or weakness. And then interweaving, I'm using that word a lot in this show, the human experience in that, because we can all relate. We are all flawed individuals. We have all experienced moments of wickedness or weakness. All of us. Kendrick is able to tap into that vulnerability and write his words in a way that is so relatable. And the style that he does it, and with the skill that he does it, it's like, dude is nice, bro. He's nice. What is so hard about saying that? You see, my thing is, I feel like speaking on that point about taking a more complete approach coming from the elements that he came from, which was the street elements, Kendrick I'm talking about. I feel like 50 hasn't recovered from his loss to Kanye. Okay? I mean, that was the point where he was told, to the populace at large, that his particular brand of street rap was no longer a viable product to sell, and he lacked the musical flexibility, capability, and skill to diversify his own subject matter, thus musically falling into pseudo-irrelevancy. And guess what? It's okay. I'm referring to him facing off against Kanye for record sales when Kanye dropped Graduation. I can't remember the name of the album. Was it Before I Self-Destruct or Curtis? Bruh, I don't remember. But Kanye beat him in sales. And that right there was an inflection point, a paradigm shift that represented that people at that time wanted more artistically ambitious music. 50 was not giving that at the time. His street raps were his street raps, but they kind of ran its course. His brand of the street raps ran its course. And he said he was going to retire. He didn't retire. I think he put out another album after that, but at that point, then he had his struggles with Interscope, and we all know that story. I'm not going to rehash that. But I feel like internally, 50 didn't recover from that because he just could not believe that his brand of street rap that was so wildly successful with Get Rich or Die Trying, and to a slightly lesser degree with The Massacre, could not be a viable product at that point. That's why I called it an inflection point in 2007 when he went up against Kanye Graduation. I'm gonna tell you what though, Fifth, anybody going up against Graduation at that point in time was gonna lose. I'm sorry. That's just my personal opinion, but Kanye was too powerful musically at that point. But that's another conversation for another day. 50 is a smart businessman, and he took his L and he made pivots to build his corporate portfolio with different brands, building up different ventures, so on and so forth. But his biggest success outside of his music, of course, has been his TV production and acting on the hit show Power. But even then, if you look at it in all honesty, his creative output revolves around what? His personal life experiences, which were the most harrowing and impactful that have been his life as a street guy. And guess what? That's okay too. That's okay. But again, the problem is 50. Just because you express things the way that you have, that you've been through and how you do it, it doesn't mean that Kendrick has to do it your way. And just because he doesn't do it your way, it doesn't mean that the elements of the aggression in the street elements in hip hop and his brand of hip hop are going away. You're talking about, you said something about palatable artist. There's no other artist on the planet, and especially in the realm of hip hop, that is more palatable from a marketing standpoint than one Drake, Aubrey Drake Graham. Okay, he is like the fast food of hip hop, bruh. You want to talk about harmless? This is why it's boggling my mind that you are taking up for this guy. There's got to be something else at play. I'm not really big into conspiracy theories, but there's got to be something else at play. Okay? But Kendrick has rarely, if ever, created his music without some semblance of the street elements that he came from. And like you, a large percentage of his work, is reflective of those street experiences. He just has an incredible skill, like I said before, to convey more angles to the story and present a larger, more well-rounded view of the very same things that you have also experienced. Okay? That's it. But it's that difference, that fundamental difference, that has put you musically and Kendrick through the stratosphere. And you might not feel this way, but how it looks to us from the outside, the more you talk, the more I really am convinced that you're slightly low-key jealous of him, because you couldn't convey your music in the same way that he did. That's why you're saying disparaging things, needling him, talking about, oh, what the hell is a Pulitzer Prize, and he's representing the art without the aggressive elements of hip hop. That sounds very ignorant. That sounds incredibly ignorant. And it's just, it boggles. Again, I don't know what it is about Drake and these older dudes who know better that are crashing out now for him. What does he have on y'all? Maul, Fifth, Game, Snoop. But again, Snoop publicly went on record and said, "Yo, what's the edibles?" and then he apologized and said, "You know what? Nah, Doc. You unite in the West. Salute." Same with Wayne, even though he didn't hear that lyric before. Why you pop out on Twitter, X, whatever, and crashed out again? All in the same age group now. Snoop's a little older, but you get what I'm saying, y'all. Anyway, you guys tell me what you think in the comment section. This was just a little quick rundown of what I think about how 50 is moving a little bit weird with this whole Kendrick and Drake thing and how we sided with him. And I didn't even get into the fact of how one-sided he was trying to be on Drake's side with the whole battle during the battle and all that stuff. And again, it just boggles my mind. It confuses the hell out of me, because you would think that someone like 50 would relate more to someone like Kendrick, seeing that their upbringings were a lot more similar than his was to Drake's, But who knows, y'all? Y'all let me know what you think in the comment section. This is Lex Black. This is episode 2 of Midnight Music. Midnight Arcade will be returning soon. I just had a lot of stuff to work on. I'm writing my books, working on some new music, working on some new ventures. So please bear with me. Thank you so much for subscribing, and I'm out.